I apologize in advance. You're probably going to hear the roosters crowing. Just happens here all the time. They're a noisy bunch of little guys. But it is time for me to start protecting all of my perennial herbs. I do have a couple that were annual. They've already been taken care of. There was a frost that came through, and yeah, they're no longer around. But there's a difference between a hardy perennial and a tender perennial. And the hardy perennials can take down to 20 degrees. Even like thyme can take down to 10. Anything other than that, you want to get it at about 20 degrees and above and go ahead and protect it. Onion tops for your green onions. Perennials that are tender would be considered things like fennel and parsley. So I'm going to take you through and I'm going to show you how it is that I overwinter and prepare. All of this stuff will come back in the spring. And that's what I'm wanting, is to not kill my root system in the base. And I want to protect it and make sure it's going to come back for me in full swing in the springtime. What I have with me is I have just some simple stuff. I've got a liquid pump of pure gold. It's just almost like a fish fertilizer. Use a liquid type of fertilizer. It makes it easier with your herbs, especially since they're so tightly wound together. So I've got that for some of them that need it. And I have a nice pot full of rabbit poo. Yeah, I have rabbits, and so I like to use the poop as much as I can. And so we're going to use this as well. And I collected a bucket of leaves out of the yard. You don't have to use leaves. You can use straw, you can do mulch. It all depends, but there's some sort of layer you need to put down. I'm not actually working with the thyme and the oregano right now. I'm starting at the end bed. So let me move over and we'll start talking. All right, so I'm starting with this bed first. It's going to take me a couple days to get through all my beds because I do need to clean and dehydrate and get all the herbs put away. But what I'm working with right here is my parsley. I have a flat leaf and I have a curled. And then I have my bronze leaf fennel. Now both of these are biperennials or biannuals. What that means is they need 2 seasons to grow before they will produce an actual seed. So this is the first year that I've done this. I started it in the late fall. This will come back in the spring, and if I let it, it will go to flower, and then I can start getting fennel seeds from it. Most of your fennels, even the Florence fennel, which I have a ton planted in here, they need a second season to start to form the seeds. It doesn't happen in the first, it's always the second. That's why it's considered a biannual plant. The same with parsley. It's going to come in lush and beautiful in the spring. It's going to get big and robust, and then it'll start to flower, and then I'll get seed from it then. But for now, I'm going to trim all this down. I want to try to trim down as much as I can to get as close to the root system as possible, so that we can get this soil packed up with some good fertilizers and some good mulching with leaves to protect the plants that are down there. So easy as that, just cut your plants down as close as you can. Now I find it easier to work from end to end and then to middle because I'm going to be dehydrating all of this or hanging some of it to dry and then even freezing some of the fresh parsley. I am just going to work from one side over, and you want to just cut down as far as you can to the base. To get you in closer, I'll show you on this side. You're going to want to find where the plant actually starts at the base of your bed and kind of weave out what's there, and then just cut down as far as you possibly can, stems and all. Give it a really good big haircut. Now I've already harvested off of this a few times, so it's not as lush as it should be, because you can see the difference. This side's big. I've already harvested here. So yeah, I'm just going to come through and keep cutting. You'll see new growth down in the bottom, and that's a good sign that you have good healthy plants down there. And I'll take you in closer and show you what I'm talking about. All right, see all these small little leaves that are coming up? You can even see down here through the center of this one. That's the stuff that's the new growth. That's the things we want to protect, because everything underneath this is the actual base of the plant and the root system. So I'm going to trim back all of these herbs, and then I'll show you the next steps. All right, so I harvested it all. You can see the pan's full. I've got all the fennel in here and all the parsley. It smells amazing. This fennel smells so good. I've got a little bit of this covered so you can't see that part, but you can see where I've cut this all down as far as I possibly can, and that's what we're looking to do. You can see the growth that comes up with the fennel. It's these darker fronds that come right up through the middle. I left as much of those as I could, but as you can see, these little bulbs are forming. They already have more growth coming through. This will all come back once the spring hits and the weather warms up more. So now it's time to go ahead and fertilize. All right, so I've got the Pump and Grow Pure Gold fertilizer. Any type of liquid fertilizer will do. It's all cut back. It's great to be able to find all those weeds that are hiding in here, because when stuff's planted really close, those little weeds get in there pretty tight. I've diluted it in a watering can, and I'm just going to go through and give a good water around all my plants. Read your manufacturer's directions to make sure you aren't overdoing it, because sometimes you can mix too much. But organic fertilizer, I can say, is a lot better than your chemicals because they don't burn out as easy. They just add a little bit more to your soil. So now that I've done that, my next step is the rabbit poo. Now this is totally up to you what type of fertilizers you want to use. I'm just adding extra to get ready for the spring. And I just come through and sprinkle it along my plants. As the weather goes on, it's going to rain and bring all that nutrients in, and because I'm not topping with anything but what will be a new compost, it's going to create a really nice, healthy layer for my soil. Now we've got the 2 layers of fertilizer on, and it's time to just top with the leaves. Now, like I said, you can use whatever mulch you want. I'm using the leaves because I have them free on hand. You can use straw, you can use pine straws, you can use mulch, whatever you want. But I'm just going to top everything off with a nice layer of leaves. All right. Now what I like to do is kind of wiggle my fingers in this shape around the plants and get those leaves around them so there's still some green showing, and that way they can actually grow until it's too cold for them. But this is going to cover their bases and going to make a really good layer for them. So as you can see, as I shake around, I'm exposing a lot of these stems, and I'm just pushing those leaves around. And just go back and fill in whatever spaces you think you need to. All right, I'm going to film this quick because it's getting really windy and I'm afraid my phone's going to fall over. All my herbs are ready. I'm going to take them in and start getting those cleaned and dehydrated. That's all I simply do. I just cut everything back as far down, about 1 inch above the soil is where the base of the plant is going to start growing its new growth. So 1 inch away from the soil, I cut it all down, throw in a lot of fertilizers, and then cover it with leaves, kind of move those around, and there we go. Simple as that. So now I'm holding my stand because it is falling. It's so windy here today. So anyways, I hope you guys learned something from this video. Protect your herbs, let those come back in the spring, and when you come back and see how much growth I have, you will be like, oh wow, I should have fertilized and I should have done this too. So anyways, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.